Miami Sports always from two homies in Miami.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Sports Spectator podcast. It is episode 33. And when we were thinking about this episode, John and I, we were thinking, what should be the athlete that we talked about? He said, let's do Larry Bird. And I said, John, I love you. You're crazy, but we're actually going to go with my boy, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So that is today's episode. And even though we started off here with some basketball players, we are going to be talking nothing but football today. Guys, I am very excited for this episode. We got the Carson Walters here as a special guest, and we are just going to be going so ham on everything dealing with American football, with college football. You're going to hear some bad takes from myself, but you will probably hear some sensational takes from Carson and John. I'm super excited to get into it. John, Carson, you guys look good. We look fantastic. Weather's great. How are we feeling, guys? Talk to me.
Listen, I'm just honored to be here. Two of the best-looking cats in the game, man. I'm excited to be with you guys. You guys put out some good content, so I'm excited to share some thoughts and share some stuff about some football. So,
dude,
and
I'm super hyped
tomorrow,
to get into it.
by the time most people are watching this, there will be a new president of the United States. And if you watch it before Election Day is over, feel free to go ahead and write John Lasack as the write-in for the president elector. Just an FYI, thank you for your vote. God bless America. Let's get
God bless
it.
America. Indeed, indeed. Yes. By the time the folks are hearing this, there will be a new president. And I know we usually do not touch politics on the podcast, but very interesting to see that. Funny enough, the trade deadline is also coming up. I don't know which one weighs more heavily in American socioeconomic topics, whether Election Day or the NFL trade deadline. I feel like that's definitely a debate that we could have. Probably one that we will save for a different episode. But Carson, you being our sensational guest, we want to give you a chance to introduce yourself to our listeners. Give us a little bit of a spiel. What should the people out there know about you, man?
you know, I'm one of the boys, man. I'm one of the boys. I'm just like you guys. I was lucky enough to be able to play college sports. When you think of one of the gritty white guys that just played college sports and were kind of on the team to build up the morale a little bit and kind of boost everybody up. That's kind of what I was. But no, man, I'm very excited to be here, obviously. And you know, being a former college athlete, it's definitely something that has stuck with me since then. I mean, learning a lot, playing with a bunch of guys that are, you know, now in the NFL and have a shot to play in the NFL too. So still have connections with people playing in college. But yeah, man, played college football, played quarterback at the University of Nebraska Kearney, so a small little Division II school in Nebraska. So shout out Kearney. And then decided to transfer and play wide receiver at the University of Nevada, Reno, Kaepernick's old school, which I know gets a lot of controversy there. But that's usually when I explain it to people, it's like they're like, "Oh, down in Vegas, like your school down in Vegas." Like, no, it's where Colin Kaepernick went to school. And then they go, "Oh, got it, okay." So that's a little bit about myself.
Dude, sensational. And I mean, I know we were talking a little bit before we started that episode, and we love having folks like you that obviously have played the game, because John and myself, we're obviously just outsiders looking in whenever we comment, whenever I know I do my terrible takes on the state of sports. So I'm so excited to talk ball with you, man. Let's go ahead and kick it off, bro. Obviously, you having played wide receiver and obviously us being fans of Miami sports, I wanted to just quickly get into it. Give us your take on the state of the Miami Dolphins. We're sitting at 2-6, unfortunately, and we got just an absolute gauntlet of a state. I'll actually start off, since you were a wide receiver at Nevada. Did you happen to see what Jalen Waddle's final stat was after yesterday's game? I don't know if you got the chance to see it.
He was like negative yards receiving, but he had a touchdown. I actually pulled that out right before we hopped on here. That's a crazy stat.
-7 yards. That's right. So all of us collectively here that we did not play a single snap during the NFL Sunday slate technically had more receiving yards than Jalen Waddle did. John obviously is an Alabama alum, so he likes to brag about how, you know, his school is NFLU. I went to Florida, so we're not really cranking out, you know, any stellar NFL players lately. So I am, even though shitting on the Dolphins, but I do like to take any opportunity I can to diss the University of Alabama. So John, that was alumni that went to your school. I just want to point that out. You guys aren't as good as you think. I'm going to tell you right now, whatever that is opening up at, or whatever it opened up at, and whatever it is now, I'm fading the shit out of Bama. Like, I'm selling stock on Bama, John. I feel like the peak for their season was that Georgia game where Ryan Williams had that crazy athletic situation. But other than that, I'm fading you guys respectfully. I love you, dude, and you know that, but I'm fading them. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's a night game too, right? I'm looking at it too. Is it a night game? We're a night game at LSU. You guys are a night game?
Yeah, we always play LSU at night. It's crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's gonna be tough.
Death Valley is a wild place.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, you get Milroe in a groove there. I mean, you got something. The problem is his inconsistency, right? Like you got to stay as a quarterback. You got to stay consistent, especially at the University of Alabama, right? They'll run you out of town, as you know, John.
Yeah, well, Jalen Milroe's still in Tuscaloosa. He's I think he's going anywhere. But we got 2.5 point favorites. I mean, I think Juan's right. First of all, fade any bet that I'm advertising. Juan, I think you're 8-2 in your bets.
8-2, baby. That's right, dude.
I'm like 2-6.
I'm killing it with the picks, bro.
Wow.
Carson, how did you do this past weekend on your bets?
Gosh, I mean, yeah, John, I sent you mine. I mean, I throw the most ridiculous things out there. But the problem is, the problem with throwing a parlay together is that you hit like five out of six, but like, it's
always that one.
It's always the one, right? Like there's always one that's left out, and then you're like, well, shoot, if I just would have taken that out, that'd have been great.
Or if you just bet all singles like Juan. Juan, if you bet all singles, you could be rich right now. But instead, you did back to back.
Yeah,
parlays.
instead, so all the picks I had this past weekend, which I wonder if the Hard Rock Bet app will let me look at it. But I literally missed a 5-leg parlay by one because I picked Arkansas to cover the spread against. All right, it's not letting me show it. But literally, I had one leg that didn't hit, and that was literally Arkansas covering the spread against Ole Miss. They got obliterated, just like 30 points, and they were plus 7.5 points. Every other pick that I did this weekend hit, but I decided to parlay all of them together as opposed to what John said, because what John said was actually pretty smart. And as you can tell, I'm not very bright when it comes to some of these things. And unfortunately, parlayed them all together and basically just ended up with a non-taxable deduction donation to the Hard Rock Casino. So I hope they use those
big shout out
funds.
to the Hard Rock. What is it? Which Native American group is part of that? Are they
The Seminoles. The Seminoles.
Well, Seminoles, well done. Enjoy the free money.
They deserve it more than anyone.
That's right. Well, I told John, I said, listen, John, the next time I bet and throw a parlay down, it's going to be, I need your approval, but now I feel like I should just get Juan's approval.
Yeah, get Juan's approval.
Mine's not gonna be any better. Listen, I bet on vibes. Half of the things that I do as a financial investment, whether it's in the market or it's betting, it's on vibes. I woke up, I opened the app that day, and I'm like, I'm liking the vibes of these. There is no rhyme or reason. Like, don't ask me to give you like data and numbers. There's people out there that have like algorithms, and they're like, well, based on past performance. No, not me, dude. I just, it's vibes. So you can send it to me, and I'll tell you if the vibe is right. That's about as much as I'm going to be able to do.
Hey, listen, better than most. Better than most. I like the strategy one. Hey, listen, you're winning. You're 8-2. And something's working.
Something's working, dude. The vibe's been good recently. My bank account is not reflecting that, unfortunately, that the vibe's been good, but
well, we'll just stick with
other
the
people.
8-2 moral story looks better.
Yeah, it looks real nice on paper. So hopefully, other people that have been tailing my bets, I hope they're enjoying their winnings.
That's right. That's right.
But anyways, Carson, wanted to go ahead and start us off real hot here, and I wanted to get your thoughts on the state of the. Well, first and foremost, are you a Miami Dolphins fan?
I am actually. I'll give you guys a little take too. I actually trained with Tyreek Hill back in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Ooh.
So his old wide receiver coach, Coach Williams, shout out Coach Williams. He was good friends with him, and I think he still trains with him to this day. But we were back for, I think they were on a bye week. He was still with the Chiefs, and he had a bye week, and it was me and my little brother Noah at the time, and we got back, and I forgot when it was, and I don't think it was during a bye week, but sometime during the summertime. But still the Chiefs, and it was a one-on-one session with, it was me, Coach Williams, and Tyreek, and then my brother, and it was just us. And nobody knew about it. Nobody could know about it. That was the whole point, that nobody could know. And we threw with him for like an hour and a half. So anywhere Tyreek goes, I'm a big fan. So I'm of course a Miami Dolphins fan.
Dude, I love it. So you're suffering like the rest of us, man. That was a poor choice in picking a franchise. I'll tell you that. But I respect the reason.
Yeah, I know. Well, I tell you what, he does. I mean, well, first of all, he's probably one of the greatest athletes to ever step foot. I mean, he's freaking
No, he's
out of his
sensational.
mind. So, but I mean, it's tough right now. I think the state of mind with Tua. I mean, it was his first game back. You got to give him that. But he didn't play well. I mean, he didn't play bad, right? I mean, he didn't turn the ball over.
He played nearly perfect. I think he technically had 3 incompletions. I'm actually going to pull up the stats for that game, but he was almost perfect against the Bills, and it was really the defense that shat the bed yesterday, which is really sad because we were big Anthony Weaver fans on this podcast. He's our current defensive coordinator, and it's really sad that Tua basically played a perfect game. All right, so I pulled it up. So he was 25 for 28, 224 yards, averaging 8.3 yards per completion, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He played basically perfect. Carson, you being a professional athlete, or I'm sorry, having played, at a high level.
I was a professional athlete, but thank you, Juan. I'll take that as a compliment.
You know what? No, I'm not going to correct myself. As a professional athlete,
thank you,
I'm manifesting that into the future.
That's right.
Yeah, there's Tyreek Hill, and then there's Carson Walters. Like that's what I've heard people say.
I mean, Tyree may have stole some things from me. I mean, you never know. I don't make the rules, right? It's like he's out here doing moves. I'm like, dude, I used to do that, right? Like, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you can't talk about Justin Jefferson. You can't talk about Tyreek Hill. You can't talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown without saying the name Carson Walters in the same sentence. That's what they say around the league, bro. So
I don't know about all that, but we'll run with it. We'll run with it.
We believe in manifesting here, so I'm just manifesting that.
We're on vibes, Juan, right? This is
vibes.
All vibes.
It's all vibes. That's all it is.
Love it.
So as someone who obviously played the wide receiver position at a high level, because obviously Nevada is a D1 school. I mean, keep me honest if that's not the case. But as someone that played at a high level, how do you fix this organization at this moment? Because we are in just this absolute where nothing seems to go right. And I'll give you a couple statistics to back that up. So our general manager, Chris Greer, who's been the GM now for 25 years, in his tenure that he has been the GM, we have won a total of 1 playoff game. That was 2.5 decades ago in the year 2000. Aside from that, we've had 3 playoff appearances, all of which we have lost. We won the division in those 25 years. I believe it was 3 times. And one of those 3 times, Tom Brady was apparently injured. Okay? Our head coaching situation, Mike McDaniel, who we love on this podcast, that guy, great vibes. We love him. But he is currently 1-7 against teams that are over 500. And the one victory was against John's precious Dallas Cowboys 1 year ago. So what identity does this team have? What do we fix? Is it the receivers? Is it the quarterback? Is it the O-line? Is it the secondary? Is it a mix of everything? I don't know. Carson, what do you think, man?
I think it's getting back to the identity, right? Like, I think you kind of got a little bit of that last year. With the Dolphins, it's funny. Like, they start out so hot, right? Like, at the beginning of the season, you think, okay, Dolphins are going to do typical Dolphins, start out 3-0, 4-0, whatever, and then be the typical Dolphins throughout the year and just kind of, phase off and maybe make the playoffs, right? I think it's a little bit different this year because obviously they didn't come out hot. So I think you got to come out, you got to find an identity again. And what do? I mean, obviously the Tua injury hurts. I mean, that threw everything into a rink, right? I mean, you get him another concussion protocol, you get him back. Okay, now you're worried about, okay, much longer is he going to go before he has another one and then he goes down again. So I think that consistent worry about Tua's health, I think, is a really big concern. But he didn't seem to show it last week. So I think, obviously that was a good step forward. But Mike McDaniel is a great coach. I mean, you guys obviously love him on here, and I love him. I mean, I think he does a great job with the organization and great job with the players. But I think finding their rhythm again, as we see, like when they are on a roll, when the Dolphins are rolling, man, they're freaking rolling. Everything's is clicking all cylinders. So I think it starts from the general manager spot, though. I think you have to make some, maybe make some trades. I mean, I know we lost some players, but we also got some key players as well. With who's the safety I'm thinking about right now? Jalen Ramsey. I mean, we got Ramsey on. I mean, it's like so he's making a little bit of moves, but I think you need to find your identity and get back to the basics and being consistent again. Tua being back, I think, is going to help. I think the next couple of weeks is going to say a lot. If we start bringing together some wins, we're back to the typical Dolphins. But I think it's, again, finding that rhythm. What do you guys think?
John, I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak on there because I have a lot to add that, especially on some of the comments that Carson make. This is going to get real spicy, and I'm excited for it. John, what do you think?
I think we're cooked. Yeah, I mean, we said this a couple weeks ago where I was like, "Hey, no one needs to panic because the season's already over." I was like, until something is proven that like things are turning around, just accept defeat and it's done. This is not the year where the Miami Dolphins are in the NFL script. This is the year where the Miami Dolphins are, abused like the dolphins in the South China Sea made into sharpened dolphin fin soup. All right, that's the season, and it started with Tua's concussion, like Carson said. Was that in the script? Is Tua really just a Hollywood actor in the NFL script? Could that be the case?
He did get new hair, so
Yeah.
there must have been a change of wardrobe if that was the case.
Yeah, he's all flashy Hollywood now. No, just kidding. But I'm actually not. I mean, I think we're cooked. We've got the Rams coming up. That's a game that the Rams are nothing special this year, but I just get a vibe where that's the Rams are just made to just pummel the Dolphins this year. Then we have the Raiders. We should win that, but that means nothing. Patriots, Packers, Jets. Honestly, I could see us going 0-3. All that being said, we're dolphin fin soup in the East Asian hemisphere of the world, and we're cooked. So, Juan, would you like to elaborate more on that?
Oh yeah, dude. The first thing I want to address is the comment on Mike McDaniel, because I do want to drill into that, and I think we can all collectively agree the guy is great. Brings, we keep saying it's a joke, but it really is true. The guy brings great vibes into the locker room, which is important. But here's my thing. The guy, and I've been biting my tongue on making this statement, but I'm going to say it officially. The guy simply is not a leader of men. And that is the one thing that we are lacking in this organization, is a true leader of men. And I'm going to take this as an opportunity to formally apologize to someone that I openly shitted on consistently on this podcast, and that was Brian Flores. Whatever critiques I had of that guy, more than anything, looking back on it, I think that guy was, in fact, a leader of men. He obviously didn't like Tua, and a lot of players had gripes with him, but the team definitely played like it was being led by someone that knew what they were doing. And I'm prepared to say that Mike McDaniel, as much of an offensive genius as he is, I love his schemes. I love that he puts Tyreek in motion and he does all of these fancy things. It's awesome. It's made the offense the most electric that it's been in the past 20 years. But there is no one in that locker room that is a leader of men, okay? Because what I see on Sundays is a bunch of guys clocking into their day job, just showing off for their shift, and then just waiting until it's time to clock out. How is it that every time these guys go 3 and outs, or they don't convert on third and long, or they don't convert on a critical fourth down situation, no one gets upset, no one gets angry, no one gets frustrated by the fact that the critical plays aren't being made? And that should be Mike McDaniel. That should be his job, to be the leader of men and basically make winning the acceptable culture. And that's my beef with him. Okay, lately, that is not what I'm seeing. And I'm going to ask you guys a question: is he officially on the hot seat, Mike McDaniel?
John, we'll start off with you because I have a take on this. Go ahead.
I mean, I would say no, but it's depending on how the season ends, and if it's ending the way I expect it to end, yes. Because I'll just make a brief comment. Like, being that whole like lackadaisical pothead vibe that he is, whether he smokes weed or not, like, it's all cute and fun as long as you're winning. But we've said it before, like, when you start losing games and you start like you're 2-6, bro, or 2-7 now, like
2-6. Yeah.
It's not cute to be like stupid. All right, it's just not. You're a grown man. You're, like you said, you're a leader of this like professional sports organization. It's not cute to be dumb, right? Yeah. It's like it's embarrassing. It's like, grow up. So I think that's what's happening right now, and it doesn't work. And so no one's laughing anymore. I don't think anyone was ever really laughing when he was doing that stuff, besides people on Instagram like us. But like in the football world, like, people are like, what the fuck are you doing? So I think when this season comes to a close, if we're not above 500, even close to it, which I don't think we're going to be, I think he'd be on the hot seat.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Anything in the NFL is cute, and people are going to appreciate you for it as long as you're winning. Okay? Mike McDaniel, if he had gotten us like 2 Super Bowls and like we were undefeated right now, and it suddenly came out that he was like a VIP attendee at Diddy parties, all of us would be like, well, I mean,
He's funny.
maybe.
He changed up a little bit when he moved down. My favorite photo is him like before he came to Miami, and then like after his look. I mean, so you're not. I mean, Juan, that's a hot take, but dude, that's you may be onto something there.
Listen, it's maybe he is, and honestly, if he keeps losing, I'm going to start spreading a rumor, being like, I don't know, at FBI, at CIA, like, my buddy, who's a buddy, who's another buddy, who knew Diddy personally. They said that Mike McDaniel was at Diddy party, so I don't know, do with that information. But yeah, it's his whole cutesy shit with like, keeping the tag on his sneakers, and I'm too fucking old to even understand what that's even about, why they do that. His whole wearing hoodies on the sideline, all of the shit that used to be funny, where like, oh yeah, look at that, he's like Bong Shula, basically, like he's so clever and quirky. Now it's fucking annoying when you're 2-6 and you're losing. And you're staring down the barrel of a mediocre season of like not making the playoffs. Yeah, now that shit is not cute. Now it's just like, all right, this actually is kind of fucking annoying, bro, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I think, well, here's the deal. I think that you guys said some very valid points, and that led me to that. I think he's got to change his mantra, right? Like you have this swag, you got this, personality, Mike McDaniel, which I love. I mean, I think it's different, right? You got to be different in the NFL, but you're losing fucking games.
You're losing fucking games.
You got to get back to you got to get back to that. So I think you got to get a gut check. I think he needs a little gut check. Like, hey, Mike, you're on to something. If you keep losing like this, you're not going to have a job by the end of the season.
He's getting out coached, like
100%.
Straight up. First of all, I've always thought that the Bills head coach looked like the leader from I Am Legend, like the zombie from that movie. Have you guys seen I Am Legend by chance?
Great movie.
Yeah. He literally reminds me of the top zombie villain from I Am Legend. So you're getting schooled by a fucking zombie, basically. Like, you're getting outcoached by that. It's unacceptable. And listen, we have not beaten Buffalo at home. And I want to make this very clear because we've had a lot of fans messages about this. We have not beaten Buffalo at Buffalo since 2016. Okay, I had just barely graduated college the last time that the Miami Dolphins beat Buffalo at Buffalo. So listen, crazy. To your point, Carson, yes, the guy, gut check. That's the absolute perfect phrase in that situation. He's getting outcoached. He's getting outplayed. He's not leading his players. So if you're not doing any of that, what the fuck are you doing then?
Yeah.
He's getting too cute with it.
Okay? Maybe Mike Daniel, it's time for a drink. What do you think?
We've said it on this podcast before that maybe he just needs to relapse. Maybe it's like, like
honestly,
take down a fifth of vodka before a game and like shit. Maybe you just play differently.
Well,
like
sometimes his post game conferences kind of sound like that too. He's like, I don't know. He kind of has this little draw at the end. I don't know if do you guys ever catch that? I kind of catch that a little.
Oh
bit.
yeah, he looks like a deer in the headline.
Yeah.
Addressing the media, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the organization. So the question then boils down to, what is the change that is needed? Do we change just a general manager? Do we change the head coach? Do we change quarterbacks?
Yeah,
I'm lost. I'm at a loss for word. Carson, like if you
you're the GM.
What do you do?
You have the biggest liability at quarterback right now. I'm just going to be honest, and I know I just keep referencing that, but I'm telling you, Tua's health is such a concern to me, because it's like, man, one more hit, then what do you do? Right? Like, then what do you do? I mean, yeah, you got Tyler Huntley, but what did Huntley do? Like, I mean, you got to...
No, he sucks.
You don't have much, right? So the big question becomes, and I think this is, again, probably why I'm not an NFL GM, but if you were to ask me if I was an NFL GM, I think you take the next 3 weeks and you go, okay, are we winning or are we losing? And then after that, you say, okay, now it's time to really make some changes. Let's start trading. Let's start thinking about maybe replacing McDaniel. Let's think about maybe putting Tua back on, some, like getting rid of him somehow, some way if he's not playing well. But I think if you change it up and you go, okay, take it week by week, because obviously you're 2-6. You're fucking. I mean, we're what are we last in the division right now, or what are we? I didn't even look at it.
I'm pretty sure we're second to last. We're just barely above the Pats with one less loss, but
yeah,
it's pretty embarrassing.
I think as a GM, I think you take the next 3 weeks and you go, okay, are we winning or are we losing? And then you reevaluate from there, because McDaniel, here's the thing: he took him to the playoffs last year. It's like being a Dolphins fan going to the playoffs. It's kind of doesn't happen that very often. You know what I mean? So, I think you take this season, keep trying to win as many games as possible. But I don't think if you want to go back to the question too about McDaniel being on the hot seat, I don't think he's on the hot seat at the end of the season. But again, I think he's got to win a couple more games. But coming into next year, same shit happens.
But listen, if his only crutch there is winning a couple more games, I mean, you're looking at this gauntlet that we have left. John already mentioned it. Next game, Monday Night Football, primetime. Dolphins statistically have been sucking in primetime, so we'll probably be 2-7 after that. We got Raiders after that. That one's a little bit winnable. We got Pats after that. That one's probably winnable, but I doubt we go 2-0 2 weeks in a row. We got Packers. That's a loss. We got Jets after that, and then we got Jets at the end of the season. I doubt we win both of those. Okay? Yeah. We got Texans. We're losing that. Niners, losing that. Browns, Jameis Winston, he's probably going to have a generational game at that point. So realistically, I think we win 2 more games this season. God. If I'm being 1,000% honest,
I don't know if I can agree with you on that. I think you could pull out a couple more. Here's the deal: the Jets are dog shit. They're not very good. They're not very good. You did see a glimpse of them last week, which I think said a lot, or this past week that said a lot. But I like our odds. I think our odds against the Jets are good. Now Texans is going to be a tough game, but again, as you guys know, anybody can beat anybody in the NFL. You saw week 1. I mean, I know it was week 1, but Bengals versus the Patriots. Patriots beat the Bengals. So I mean, you never know.
That is true. And Carson, I mean this in the most respectful way, but I don't think you've been a Dolphins fan for that long, because I had that optimistic energy for so many years, and then eventually after so much misery, I just always started assuming the worst. And then if I was wrong, it was like a nice little surprise. Like, oh, look at that. We squeaked a couple more wins than.
Oh, so it's the negativity. You got to be like, okay, we're going to suck, and then be presently surprised.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because if they suck, then you get to tell everyone, like, oh, I told you guys, I was right. And then if you were wrong, then it's just like, oh, you're pleasantly surprised. So you're kind of playing, devil's advocate on both sides. So you kind of come out on tops. And that's my mantra when it comes to the Dolphins. But I say we finish the season 4-13, if I'm being 100% honest. And if that doesn't put Mike McDaniel in the hot seat, then honestly, the Dolphins just deserve to stay a mediocre organization. And I'll keep liking them and I'll keep watching them. But it's just, you pretty much have set the precedence that mediocrity and losing is pretty much the standard there. And the only thing that I have to look forward to if my prediction ends up being right is that at the very least we'll have like a nice draft pick. Then maybe it's Cam Ward or Quinn Ewers, one of these guys to the Dolphins, and that's about it.
I'm gonna say a couple things. I'm gonna say I agree with you on. We're absolutely, like I said it before, we're cooked. This season's over.
Sad eek.
Hopefully some like sociopathic private equity guy comes in and buys us, or Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, or really anyone buys us out of Stephen Ross and can change some things there. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say this is what's gonna hurt. I think, contrary to what you said, Carson, I think the Jets are turning their season around now officially. I think Aaron Rodgers with Devontae Adams is becoming a thing, and I think they're going to make the playoffs. And I think the Jets will make the playoffs over us. They're going to beat us. Aaron Rodgers is not going to go to the Super Bowl or anything, but I think the Bills and the Jets will both make the playoffs this year, and the Dolphins will just be back to embarrassing levels of pain.
Yeah, we're going to be on the outside looking in. And the worst thing that I think could actually happen is that we finish the season somehow just slightly over or right at 500. And it's just right back to where the Dolphins have been, where they didn't do anything enough in the regular season to make a splash and, even make the playoffs, but they didn't do bad enough to get a high enough draft pick. So it's just this like circle of mediocrity. So if anything, I just say, let's embrace the tank. Let's do like Tiananmen Square and embrace the tank. That's all I got to say.
Wow, that's insane, Juan. Might start using that. No, I think you're right, though. I mean, I guess you guys brought up some pretty good points. I mean, I think the Dolphins have been such a mediocre team. I mean, it's hard to kind of make some changes when you're just kind of right at 500 every year. It's tough. So I guess you're right. Embrace the suck. Go for it. Tank. Get some good draft picks. Change some things up a little bit. But I mean, are you guys? Let me ask you guys this: are you guys out on Mike? Are you guys out on Mike?
Yeah, I have officially
are
been out because this last game was very winnable. And I told myself that if we won this game, this would have been a statement game. This would have been a statement victory, beating Buffalo at Buffalo for the first time in almost 8 years, because the last time we beat them was December 24th, 2016. Okay? This would have been a great win, but we were just absolutely out coached. Okay? The moments that mattered the most, this guy had no game plan. Okay? And that's the part where I say, look, dude, I'm out. I'm sorry. Like, I'm selling stock on Mike McDaniel. Great guy. I would love to be friends with him. I'm sure, like, he's super fun to party with. But like I said, he's just not the leader of men that I guess I thought he was going to be. So I'm out. I'm out of McDaniel. If you guys are still in on him, I respect that. But me, myself, I'm just not seeing it, man. He's disappointing me too much. And I have a hot take for you guys. I think ultimately what's going to happen with Tua, we're going to see another Andrew Luck situation. I think he's going to be one that it's going to be a random game and the guy's just going to retire on the spot.
Dude, I don't think so. I think he's literally he said it himself. I'm going to play till I die.
Andrew Luck said the same thing.
Did he?
Yeah, people used to ask him.
All right, you got to clip it. You got to clip it in here. We got to see a video of Andrew Luck saying that. You said it, Juan. I got to see it now because I don't know if Andrew Luck's got it. I don't know if Andrew Luck said that. That's I don't know.
Listen, probably. I'm probably just getting a little bit too heated right now, but I'm going to make it a mission to find a clip of him. I feel like I've seen it before where someone has asked him, like, Andrew, how are you doing with your health? And he's just giving positive reinforcements like good, I'm going to be the quarterback for the Colts. And then just, they had that preseason game that he just retired. So I will find that. And if I'm wrong, again, I've said it on this podcast, I'm not very bright. So do with that information what you will. But listen, I don't know. That's just my hot take. I feel like that could happen. He just pulls an Andrew Luck and just retires on the spot on a random game.
Yeah, I'm with John. Tua's just gonna go until he freaking feel the wheels fall off, man. He is all about football. That said something too. That I tell you what, that press conference when he was just like, "I'm gonna go till I die," like basically,
which might actually be the case.
Like I've never, somebody of that caliber. But I think when you're put in a situation like that as a quarterback and you see, financially, obviously the guy's set for life, so it's like you look at it, guaranteed money. But I think his love for the game. I mean, do you argue that's the biggest love for football that you guys have ever seen? Is just straight up saying, "I'm going to go until I freaking die on the field." I
mean, I feel like you have to. I feel like he unfortunately is in a position where he is still a leader. Quarterback, dude. We all know it. It's the hardest position in sports, and you are the one. I mean, Carson, you played quarterback, so you have to know. You definitely know more than us that when you're there, your team is looking at you for answers. Okay? Because as a quarterback, you're touching the ball every single snap. And if at any moment there's doubt that is creeping into your mind, that seeps through the team. And I feel like, again, I'm an outsider looking in, but I have to imagine that the way Tua sees it, and he's like, hey, I'm bearing the responsibility of this, Broward County, Miami-Dade County, all surrounding areas. I'm bearing the responsibility of holding this team together. I cannot show that there's a crack in the armor. And I respect him for that. I really do. And I do think he loves football, but I think part of it is because he knows he has this heavy burden to lift. And I think part of it is that. So it's tough, dude. And I commend him for that he makes these statements that he's going to keep playing. But it's a tough situation, if you ask me.
He handled it better than Anthony Richardson, who's like, I'm tired, bro.
I'm tired, yeah.
It's like, bro,
that's a whole nother conversation. I'll tell you what. That is the softest. But you know what's crazy, too, is that they obviously drafted the guy so high. Anthony Richardson, they saw something in him. You know what I mean? But it's like, you show something like that as
Juan, what did they see in this fellow Florida Gator?
Listen, brother, I saw that guy play live.
Yeah, Juan, that's not a good look for the Gators, man. Come on.
Hey, I said it at the start of this podcast. We've been sucking, okay? Like, every team that I root for and I'm like the opposite of the Midas touch, okay? Like, everything that I look at from a sports perspective just turns into dog shit, the Florida Gators included. Did you know, I actually just read this, but, apparently, historically, in the history of football, mind you, the two statistical worst quarterbacks in 10 starts or something have been, get ready, Anthony Richardson and Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow.
Where did both of those guys go to school?
Tim Tebow. Oh my goodness.
Freaking Florida. But no, to your guys' point, I don't know when they drafted him 4th overall. I'm like, holy shit, dude. There must have been some like deleted scenes or something that I didn't see at some of his games because he is not 4th overall material. But yeah, dude.
It's kind of like a Zach Wilson thing, right? I mean, you look at he had such a great draft, or throwing competition or whatever, his pro day, right? His pro day at the school. Zach Wilson's throwing across.
At least he had a good career though. So too. Zach Wilson won games.
Yeah, exactly. You literally took the words right out of my mouth. At least Zach Wilson was winning at BYU.
Correct. Yeah.
Florida, dude. Yeah, I'll never forget it when we had a home game against Bama. And Bryce Young just like lit us the fuck up that game, and Anthony Richardson.
Oh boy,
nothing he could do. So, but yeah, when it comes to Tua, it's I will say he's like a real life X-Men. He's like some kind of weird Spider-Man where like he's somehow getting better with more concussions. Because this is the best he's ever looked. I will be honest with you. So somehow that last hit that DeMar Hamlin. There's something almost borderline biblical that a guy that died and almost killed Tua, and now Tua is playing his best football. I don't know if there's any science behind that, how that works, but that's probably the one bright spot. And again, the health still a concern to me, but he's looking good.
It's Carson, all part of the script. It's all part of the script.
Yeah, it's a script. Yeah, it's a script, John. It's a script.
Yeah, they're literally DeMar Hamlin, Tua. You guys need to meet in the middle of the field, collide. Tua, you go down. It won't even be that big of a hit. Tua, do your classic, remix DJ. And
yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh, dude.
I think Juan. I think these next couple of games is going to tell what Tua's health is going to be. I mean, the thing is though, is he getting smarter when he runs? Versus the previous, I mean, do you guys think so? I mean,
he's
I
sliding.
Think a little bit of he's sliding, yeah. I mean, he's making a little bit of improvement, but again, the guy's a gamer. He's in there. So I think the next 3 games, if he plays at the top of his level, Juan, I mean, shoot, the concussions, he may just be getting better with those, which is shockingly not how those things are supposed to go.
Listen, I'm going to try not to get into it, but I'll say this much. Looking at the schedule, there's 2 games that really worry me.
Get into it.
Raiders and the Browns. And I'll tell you why. Raiders have Max Crosby. The Browns have Myles Garrett.
Ooh.
If Tua survives both of those games without dying, I'll consider that a win, honestly. I'm genuinely worried for those 2 games because I think one of those 2, he's going to take just a fucking crazy sack. Because again, both of them incredible defensive ends, and I think he takes a sack from one of them. It's done, dude. He gets Andrew Luck right there, dude.
Wow, it's a big take, but I agree. That Browns game is going to be electric. I can't wait to see Tua versus Jameis. I love Jameis Winston.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, dude.
What was his speech? He's like, I forget what was
it. Which one? He has so many.
No, yeah, that's right. Which one? There was one at the end of the game. He was like. Today is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. He's just staring at the camera. I'm like, that's just the most classic Jameis Winston I've ever seen in my life. I love it.
Dude,
I love Jameis.
Dude, I agree, and I hate how much he's like grown on me because obviously he went to FSU, and he won a national championship with FSU. So I hated him for so long, but like seeing him in the league and just like how great of a persona he is, it's hard to dislike the guy. But actually, that's a guy that I will say, just because I mentioned this previously, that guy is a leader of men. Whatever you say about his football, that's the moxie that I think like Tua and like Mike McDaniel are lacking, is this leader of men situation that you can rally the troops when you're in the trenches and speak to them in a way that makes them want to put their body on the line for the team. I don't think Tua's doing that.
There's
are we hearing trade for Jameis? Is that what we're hearing, Juan?
1,000%. Shit. I would have loved to have gotten Jameis Winston when Tua got hurt. I would have been over the freaking moon, bro. Like, he would have been a sensational quarterback. I think he plays better in Florida, if anything. So
yes.
Yeah. Well, if you ever saw his video talking about people are just different when they're born around water.
I did see that one.
That one's
when he was talking about Mike Evans.
That one might be top 3 favorite Jameis clips. And Jameis, as you guys know, has a lot of different. He's got some takes that are pretty great.
He's funny, dude. I would have loved to have them to have had him in a Dolphins uniform. But I mean, it is what it is. And like I said, the only bright spot that I saw from yesterday and that I've seen in the past 2 games is that Tua really is a difference maker. Again, if he just had a little bit of moxie, if he just had just a little bit of clutch, just I don't know what that is, because you got guys like your Tom Brady's, your Patrick Mahomes, your Matthew Staffords that just have this like clutch factor to them. If Tua just had that, I think we would probably be at the very least a 6-win team right now, I would say. And if he wasn't injured, I guess that's also important to note.
There's zero alphas on the Dolphins offense. None. Like there's great players, but there's no alphas. Defense,
there's not a leader.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I would say maybe there's 1 or 2. The first people that stand out to me really are Zach Sealer and I want to say Jalen Ramsey, but Jalen Ramsey kind of fits into that criteria of like Tyreek Hill almost. I think he's a little bit more alpha. But I think as he's gotten older, he's kind of matured and, taken a little bit of a step back there. But across the board, yeah, the Dolphins lack alpha players 100%. And you need it in the NFL.
Yeah, we just got Odell, too. I mean, I don't think that adds much to it, too. I mean,
I wasn't going to say anything. I'm going to say, this dude's down here partying in Miami. He's here to party. He doesn't give a shit about playing football anymore. And with respect, he's been injured a bunch. He's getting to his older years. He's getting those paychecks. Man, he got his Super Bowl. He doesn't give a single.
He doesn't give a fuck. I respect that. Exactly.
Yeah, like he doesn't give a shit.
Actually, John told me the other day he saw him walking to his face. So I'm like, I don't know, probably.
Yeah.
Probably, dude. I can only imagine. I would assume if I had to guess on a monthly basis, how often is Odell Beckham Jr. at space? I'd say 3 times.
Yeah, dude.
And if it's not space, it's 11.
That's 10-1 odds right there for him to be at space at any given weekend. I feel like that's a safe bet. Yeah, dude.
Can we stop talking about this shit team? Can we go over to the Miami Hurricanes?
Yeah.
You read my mind, actually. All right. Now, moving on to happier subjects. Carson, I feel like we were just all over the place, but I feel like this is a topic that I definitely want to get your opinion on. Miami Dolphins, currently one of 5 undefeated teams in college football. Give us your take. What do you think about them?
You know what Miami loves to do? Hurricanes, they love to allow a lot of touchdowns, but they also love to score a shitload of touchdowns, which is what also makes them fun. I think the past couple of weeks has been, well, besides the Florida State game, obviously, it's been one of those like neck and neck all the way until the fourth quarter, and then, as you know, Ward does what he does. He just takes over the game, man. I think they've done a phenomenal job. I think that was probably the best, transfer portal guy you could have gotten out of all the quarterbacks, I think, in the transfer portal, obviously. So I think it's just a matter of how can they keep it going, right?
Does he have the Heisman on lock?
I don't know, man. That boy up there in Colorado, Travis Hunter, that man's doing something that hasn't been done. I mean, who was the last two-way player in college? Who was it? I forgot. Do you guys remember?
I mean, the only one that was relevant is Deion, in my mind.
Deion, yeah. I mean, he's been that since Deion, but I'll tell you what, if he keeps playing the way he's playing, I think he's got it on lock. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that.
What about, Ashton Gianti? I don't know if I'm saying that right, but like that guy is just also on an insane tear right now.
An insane tear.
Yeah. He's playing the Mountain West. I think he's got the Wolfpack this week. He's got my alma mater. He's probably gonna run for 600 yards. That'll be great. If you guys want to throw a parlay together, you might as well throw a parlay with Ashton Genty running for 1,000 yards and 64 touchdowns, because it's gonna be an absolute nightmare of a show over there in Reno. Actually, I think they might be playing in Boise too. Great, that's gonna make it even more fun.
Wait, I have to ask, did you ever play at Boise, like on that freaking blue field?
We did, yeah. We played. What we call it? We call it the Smurf turf.
The Smurf turf, dude. I love that. Turf.
Yeah,
I always wondered. It's just like, damn. I'm curious if you're playing on that fucking blue field, if that just like screws with you. It's so blue. Did that ever happen to you while you were playing there?
Yeah, I'll actually tell you guys a funny story. So when we went there a couple of times. So we played a bowl game there, the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, fellas.
Hell yeah.
It's famous. That's why they had to put it in front. The famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Now, when you win, they give you like a trophy, and it's filled with a bunch of potatoes.
I have seen that, yeah.
And then actually they dump fries. If you guys have ever seen that. So when we won, our coach got fries dumped up on him, and we had players coming around eating fries. So it was pretty cool. But No, the field itself is. I mean, it's obviously when you grow up as a kid and you watch Boise State, and obviously you guys grew up watching Boise State, the 2007 team, winning the Statue of Liberty, all that stuff. It's like you grow up and like, man, that'd be such a cool field to play on, and then you get there and you're like, this is cool, but kind of gets old pretty fast. It's like I kind of miss just regular turf, right? But no, it was cool. And I'll tell you a story too. They say that because of the blue turf, the birds that fly over top of it land and they think it's water. So you'll see birds that come down and they just crash on the turf because they think it's water.
Wow.
And they got like bird poop all over the place because people think the birds think it's water. So they'll fly in and then so it's the Smurf turf, man. It'll get
That's
you. Even
so
if your
crazy.
even the birds aren't safe, man. The birds aren't safe.
Dude, that's so funny, dude. I'm so glad to know that my assumption that was just like a weird turf across the board is correct. Because every time I see it on TV, it's just like it's just such an eyesore to watch, and I'm just like, I cannot imagine that you as a player that you're playing regularly when you're going on there. It almost makes me wonder that when you play for Boise State and you go to a regular field, if you get used to the blue and then like playing on a green just fucks with you. Was always what I've been curious of.
I'll tell you what though, it was cool. Like, don't get me wrong, it was one of those things where it was like, okay, you can cross this off the list, right? Like you grew up watching it, you're like, okay, this is a cool deal. But it's definitely after you warm up in it and you go through the first quarter, you're like, all right, let's just get back to regular football, right?
Oh yeah, dude.
So
I feel that. Oh man. But no, on the topic again of Cam Ward, I mean, I'm being biased. Like, I obviously hate the University of Miami with a burning passion, but I appreciate good ball. And they play fun, frisky football. Again, you watch a Miami game of the season and you always bet the over on that one. I think they actually have hit every single over.
Except for Florida State, of course. The one I
Was
bet.
that the only one?
I mean, I know they didn't do it on that one, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wait, John, was that the one that you and I bet? Did we bet the over on that one?
Yeah,
I forgot.
of course.
That was the week. Yeah, of course we did. Yeah. That's just our luck.
Miami all runs through their offense. Cam Ward and Xavier Restrepo, their defense sucks.
He's so good.
In the other episode where it's like, when they play a legitimate team, if they go up against like an Ohio State and Oregon, like, you're going to really want to rely on a shootout to beat a team like that? I mean, I guess you have to. And it's working so far. But, like, literally, Miami's got one of the shittiest schedules in college football. Definitely for one of the top-ranked teams. I mean, like, they only beat – like, who did they beat? You look at the schedule, Louisville. That's it. Florida.
Listen,
respectfully.
They beat who they beat, okay? Like,
they beat – amen. That's a factual statement.
Like a win is a win. And I mean, obviously, John, I feel like probably everyone collectively here has a lot of friends that are fans. So I'm happy for my friends because they have been miserable for the past, like, I don't know how many decades at this point. Obviously, all of them, if not most of them, are also Dolphins fans. So I like seeing that joy, that spark back in their eye that their college football team is playing well. I still hate them with a passion, but like I said, I appreciate good football. And Cam Ward is a sensational, phenomenal athlete. I mean, that guy is just so Lamar Jackson-esque, but I'd say just a little bit more accurate when it comes to the throws. I think he's really good, and I think he's going to light it up in the league. So he's a fun guy to watch. And again, having the Heisman Trophy come to Miami, the city where we're living, I just feel like that's cool. I'm just rooting for him to win it just for that, man. I just feel like it would be a good morale boost for the city to have a Heisman Trophy winner. But to your point, John, I do agree. I think eventually in the college football playoff, with the 12-team playoff this season, the second they faced a legitimate contender, because I agree, you put them up against an Ohio State, a Penn State, an Alabama, a Georgia, you're not going to be able to rely on just Cam Ward alone. Like, someone else has got to step up. The secondary, the D-line, I do agree. It's going to be tough. Someone's got to step up.
You know what they remind me of? They remind me of, like, Oklahoma a little bit when they had, like, Kyler Murray,
Yeah.
It was always like
shootouts, yeah.
It was always a shootout, but and then they get in the playoffs, and then you go up against Bama, and you're not going to win a shootout against Alabama. John, I'll shout you out. I mean, shout out Bama.
Or Georgia. That was one of the most famous bowl games probably ever when Baker
Yeah, with
Mayfield
Baker
lost.
Mayfield, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the year before, right? Because Kyler took over Baker right after he
Right.
graduated. But yeah, I
Yep.
mean, it's like you look at those teams like, yeah, it's successful, but once you play teams like that caliber, it's tough to win a game like that. So defensively, you gotta stop somebody, and offensively, you just gotta keep doing what you're doing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
teams figure you out. You know, the second they see that your entire game plan, goes through one person, they're going to figure it out and they're going to shut that shit down. Again, I hope I'm wrong. It would be really cool to see the local, college team, as corny as that sounds, go really far in the playoffs. But it's gonna be tough. I don't know. Carson, what players do you like on the team right now besides Restrepo and Cam Ward? Anyone else from your insight? Who else do you like on that team?
You said those Xavier Restrepo, man, he's just a freaking stud, man. I
He
mean, he's
is.
broken every record, right? I mean, he's
Yeah.
at this point, right? I don't know, statistically, he's the best receiver that's come through Miami. I mean, it might correct me if I'm wrong, but I think
Yeah.
that's kind of the stat there. But man, gritty player, always finds a way to get open.
Yeah.
I love watching him play. I love the connection that Cam Ward, and it's amazing too. Like, you think in the transfer portal, right? Like, it takes all this time to build chemistry with these receivers and these guys, but it just shows the offseason work that these guys have been able to put in to build the chemistry and to get on the same page. Even the first touchdown from the Duke game, it's like Cam Ward making a play, scrambling out and throwing it down. It's like Restrepo having that ability to know exactly where he needs to be at the right time. I mean, yeah, the ball got tipped, but he was in the right place at the right time, being on the same page. So I think it's a credit to that chemistry and the work that, a lot of guys that, don't play football kind of don't see in the off season, right? Because that's honestly where you build your seasons, the off season, the dedication from those guys. And Cam Ward's mentality, his leadership's one of the coolest, things to see, is because he's not an emotional guy, right? Like, he's not. He's very down to, let's win some. I'm here to win some games, right? And he even said, he's like, I'm not here to win a Heisman. I'm here to win a national championship. So
Yep.
even his mind's not even on the Heisman. Like, it may be, but I think he's really focused on winning football games and bringing Miami back. And I think that's so good for, especially the city. I mean, shoot, back when the Miami was winning national championships, and I mean, none of us were here, but I mean, I don't know, Juan, were you here? John, I mean, I know
Not in Miami,
John and
no.
I were definitely weren't here. So it'd be cool to see that, especially back in Miami. But man, Cam Ward, Xavier Restrepo, those guys are fun to watch on Saturdays for sure.
So I guess as a former wide receiver yourself, I mean, just kind of walk us through that. Like, what does it take exactly to develop that level of chemistry where it's almost two guys are functioning on the same frequency like they are? Like, that's one thing I've always been very interested in. Like, what does it take to even get to that level of connection?
It's repetition, right? It's doing the things that people aren't doing. So what does that mean? It means off season, you guys are up early. You guys are throwing before anybody else is throwing. I remember, when we were playing too, or when I was playing, I mean, our quarterback was Carson Strong, and I just remember the boys that Romeo. Obviously, you guys know Romeo Dobbs. He plays for the Green Bay Packers now. Cole Turner, he plays for the Washington Commanders. I don't think he plays that much, but I mean, it's still impressive to make it to the league. But those guys were putting in the work in the offseason, right? Like, even to the point where they were going, they were going out together, they were living together, like those guys were. But it's just the dedication in the offseason, just like waking up early, doing those throws, building that chemistry, always being on the same page, always being down to throw. I think a lot of guys kind of go in with this mentality like, oh, we're just going to, do the bare minimum, or, do what the coaches ask and not really do stuff outside of that. And I think in order to be at that level, we're a championship caliber team, competing for, whether that's a conference championship or a national championship, you have to have this different attitude. Like, you know what, guys, we're not going to be fucking doing just this. We're going to be doing some extra stuff. Did it piss some people off? Yeah, it did. But did you win games? Yeah, you won a lot. You won games. So it's like, I think you take a look at that, and I think that's what they're doing in the offseason. I think actually I know that's what they did in the offseason, is that as soon as Cam Ward came in, he probably gathered the guys and was like, hey, listen, we're going to win a national championship here, right? Like, we got the talent to do so, and I think they put in the offseason, and it's showing this season, right? Despite the teams that they played, right? Like, they haven't really played many ranked teams, but still, you go, 8, 9, and 0? I mean, that's no question that they're putting. That's what they're doing. So
It's working. I mean, we can critique them and say they've, haven't played teams, they've played teams, whatever they get scored on. But listen, the win and losses column reflects what it reflects. And you got nothing in the losses column, and numbers don't lie. And, I think what you mentioned right there is pretty much what I felt has always been it's the biggest factor when it comes to winning in any sport, which is, again, having that mentality where you're setting the standard that it's like, listen, our job here is to win. Whether you don't like the fact that we're going to be working extra, that's on you. Feel free to go anywhere else, but we're winning. And that's the attitude that you got to take. And you see it on the field. Like, you don't have to be able to listen to what Cam Ward is saying, but you just simply, you can physically see it and feel it when the games are getting played, that guy is leading the team and they trust him and they believe in him. And that's what I think I respect the most about him more than anything, not just his athletic ability, but it's his ability to be able to connect with the team and actually be that leader of men that I was mentioning earlier. That's what I like most about him. And that's why, as much as I don't like the University of Miami, obviously, I respect them for that. I think it's incredible, and I like what they're doing. It sucks for me as a Florida fan because they'll probably be stealing all the recruits. Florida's a hotbed of a state when it comes to recruiting. So it sucks for us, but again, game respects game, and I respect them, and I hope, honestly, they go all the way. That's all I got to say.
At least Florida's in a better position than Florida State because that's crazy what's happening.
You're talking about hot seat.
Yeah.
Norvell over there, Florida
yeah.
State. What's you guys' take on that? I mean, you go 13-0 and then you go 1-8.
All I can say is Florida State. The thing we made fun of them the most is that they have a clown college. So he's not going to be far from home whenever he gets let's go. He's already in a circus. Clown college is down the street, buddy. So
wow, that's
speaking from a true Florida fan, Juan. I love it.
Hey, listen. One of the things I've said on this podcast is I'm a hater first and I'm a fan second, and I will take any opportunity I can to shit on anyone else's team. Whether it's John's team, whether it's FSU, whether it's anyone, if I see a shot, I'm going to take it.
Anyone can get it.
All right. So Carson, I know that we've had you here for a while. One thing I wanted to get your take is shoot off your favorite wide receivers currently playing in the league. I'm genuinely very curious.
That is a tough one because I'm a big fan of a lot. Honestly, just not to sound like, corny or anything, but I love Reek's game. I love Tyreek's game. Even this season, it's been tough because he really hasn't gone off, but his speed and the way he plays the game is just ridiculous. Like, me being able to see it in person was one thing, and it was so cool to be able to do that. But
is he really that fast?
Oh man, he's so twitchy. I was even watching. He's so twitchy. It's just his twitchness is different. He's just got this his in his body that's just he's be able to move in a certain way that's why he's in the NFL, right? Those guys that are moving like that. So I like Tyreek, but it's funny. One of the guys that came in, he got paid obviously because they won the Super Bowl, but I love Cooper Kupp. Love me some Cooper Kupp, man. He's a great receiver too. I love his story. He came from, an FCS school, Eastern Washington, and, kind of sacrificed a lot to get where he's at. But man, that season that they went on a Super Bowl run the Super Bowl, almost breaking was it Calvin Johnson's record? I forgot which one it was for.
No, I actually don't think he broke it. That season was specifically historic because he got the Triple Crown. He was the receiving leader, Super Bowl MVP, and what was the other thing? But he made three huge accolades, which on their own would merit a lot of praise. But he got all of them, and I know two of them are Super Bowl MVP and receiving leader. No, Offensive Player of the Year. That was the third one. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. But still, hell of a player. It sucks to see his injuries happen too. But
he puts it all on the line. Yeah,
puts it on the line. And I remember when I was playing too. I used to watch film about it was him and Renfro. When Hunter Renfro was at Clemson. He was one of the coolest guys. Not to get off track about receivers in the NFL, but Hunter Renfro when he was playing at Clemson, I used to try and watch his clips because he was more like me, right? Because there's guys that are like Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams that are just naturally gifted at the game, but some guys that have to kind of scratch and claw their way and really be strategic about how they move. That's kind of the way I look at Cooper Kupp and Hunter Renfrow and like those guys. But man, I love watching. I think it's cool to see now. I know. I talked before. It said the Jets kind of look like shit, but man, I hope they figure it out. I really love Devontae Adams too. I mean, he is. It's good to. I want to see him succeed because he is such a great wide receiver. I think he's amazing. So I hope they get that connection back. But I saw some too. I don't know if you guys saw this, but you guys see the top 2 leading receivers in the NFL right now?
It's I'm pretty sure it's JJ Jefferson's one of them.
JJ and Jamar Chase, both 2 LSU guys.
But they're just
like those guys. I mean, you watch those guys play too. It's like they are on a whole nother level. You know what I mean? It's like the way Justin Jefferson has made some plays that are like, I remember. Do you guys remember the play he had at Buffalo when it was like a 4th down? It was when Kirk Cousins. I mean, obviously it was when Kirk Cousins was there, but
yeah, I remember that game.
Yeah, that was like one of the coolest. That was
he
one of the
caught it. I
catches.
think like this way. It was just like an insane catch.
Guy pinned. Oh my God, it was one of the coolest things. I know I said a lot of receivers, but man, like I said, Reek, love Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams, great receivers. But it is cool to put some respect on. You want to talk about LSU. I mean, those are 2 studs that came out of that place, and it's showing it too. I mean, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. So
I mean that LSU team, looking back on it, was just it was Joe Burrow, Clyde Edwards-Helaire at running back, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and I think that's when Randy Moss's kid was still playing at tight end. He was on that roster as well. Like, yeah, stupid stacked, ridiculously stacked. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, John, that was unfortunately the year that they got beat, or Bama got beat, right? So
yeah, two was playing on a broken hip.
Throw that out there.
And we still almost won.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you guys still almost won that game. I forgot about that, but says a lot.
You won't catch me slipping to Alabama.
John's just like getting comfortably numb. He's just like, whatever. I won plenty of championships in the past couple of years. Like,
John reminds me of like Dave Portnoy, like because Dave's won so many. Like he's like, oh yeah, I'm naturally like all the Patriots, Celtics championships. John's like, oh yeah, I've got 7 national championships. I'm good. Life's good now, man.
I try to live, for lack of a better word, vicariously through John's experiences, and I'm like, John, what does it feel like to have attended school when you were winning championships? And he's just like, dude, it was the most magical place. People would give you free cash. You would get laid every day. You're winning championships. It was insane. And I feel sorry for anyone that didn't experience that. I'm just like, fuck, dude, I bet it was.
Cash. I like that one.
University of Alabama, where dreams come true. That should be your motto right there.
Amen. It's where their motto is where legends are made.
That's
pretty good.
That is.
That's
respect
awesome.
to them. All right, boys. Well, I mean, we've definitely been at it. This has been an awesome conversation. I mean, Carson, this was everything that I could hope for and more. I loved having you on here. I mean, we just had the conversations here were awesome. Dolphins. I loved your take on everything. I still got to say my favorite part was the Smurf turf. That was hilarious. Anytime I see Boise State, I'm going to see the blue field and be like, oh, the fucking Smurf turf.
Yeah, Smurf turf, man. There was a couple times. You know what, too? Boise does that. They like to do the blue. You ever see when Boise does the blue out? They like to just dress all blue and they blend in with the field. Mm-hmm. They did I think they did a kickoff one year where they did, because Kansas did the same thing. I don't know if you guys saw that, but they like hit a guy in the end zone. They like had him down. Like at the kickoff, and then like started the kickoff, he stood up, so he like remained hidden and like blended in with the field. So I don't know, weird stuff happens on the Smurf turf.
That's funny. No, I was never aware of that. Oh shit, I gotta look that up, man. All right, boys. Well, this was an incredible episode 33. Again, Carson, thank you so much for joining, dude. Would definitely love to have you on here again. Maybe towards the end of the season, we'll follow up on how the Dolphins end, and we'll see ultimately who kind of had the most right take.
Yeah,
and I hope I'm wrong about my predictions, honestly. So we'll see.
No, I'm honored to be a part of this. Like I said, 2 of the best looking cats in the game, man. You guys are underestimating yourself. I hope this thing takes off, and I'm looking forward to doing this again. This was fun, fellas.
Absolutely, man. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for tuning in and listening. Have a great rest of your morning, day, or evening.